During your time on Priority Records, what did you learn the most and what did you take away?
Mm, really, it added to my building structure. Like Pimp McKinley say, from the streets to the executive suites. So I got to understand it from a top level. You know, keeping in mind priority used to be in the CNN building on Sunset Boulevard. So I'm a 22-year-old kid, you know, around some of the greatest top execs. You know, Brian Turner on down was the boss, and you know those guys. Shouts out to Dave Weiner, who's vice president over there at Strange. When I get with Strange years later, that was my whole personal connect because we was so cool back in the priority days. So I got to see it from an A&R level and how the business structure broke down. How one side of the building was ice quiet, where the executive was. And the other side got the A&R, the young wild kids listening to demo tapes, and Rise guys might be in one room, you know, Lynch hung in another, Ant Banks in another, you know what I mean? So I got to connect and really get into the nucleus of, you know what I mean, Hollywood, California, versus where I came from, and you hoping there's other guys that love it and go to treat it like a job. I got to see how the system really could run at a full throttle, you know what I mean? So yeah, I learned a lot just out the experience. Yeah.
What about SIBO's West Coast Mafia Records made you want to see what was going on over there?
Oh man, big bro for life. Shout out to Big Bro Loco, man. That's what I call him, you know, my big bro Loco, man. It's a man. Man, you know, where can I start? But that was truly divine. This was years later when I wouldn't call it a fall or, you know, a setback for, I call it a setback for a great comeback, if a setback at all. You know what I mean? I wouldn't change it. But years later, somewhere around 04, 2004, I moved out to Texas. I was getting ready to move out to Texas from Louisiana. That year in particular, I was working with Mr. Magic and whoever else, a lot of, you know, just subsidiary labels and different things like that, just keeping it going. And out of the blue, my manager come up to me and say, hey man, you know, SIBO talking about you in the magazine. And it was a Murder Dog magazine, I believe, with him and Yuckmouth in it. And shouts out to Yuckmouth, bro. Now it's funny what you grow into and who you grow into. Like I say, I'm always a fan to the music. So when I say my big bros, them guys I looked up to and wished and hoped I could have an opportunity. And they took me in as brothers to this day. It's a phone call. So that's a blessing, man, in disguise. So the same way with Bo, man. When I saw him and Yuck talking about this, there was a few artists that he would like to work with, and I was one in the committee. So I immediately told my people, immediately, you know, reach out to Bo now, find Bo now, man. And so happened I was working with Bosco on the West Coast doing the record for Roy Jones. You know what I mean? Going out to Cali again, being reintroduced to Cali. It was a gap after the thing with Pro Art. I didn't go out there as much, you know what I mean? Outside of the business, and other than my personal connects, you know, that had come along. But long story short, um, I had my manager reach out to Bo some kind of way and get the word from him. And a lot like Bo had described how Pac reached out to him. He said, you know, the story he tell me is that he said, man, you know, he was in the projects or wherever he was, and this girl come around the parking lot somewhere and say, you know, Tupac on the phone. He's like, girl, quit your bullshit. Pac on the phone with the call from the pen. He go in, that's how they connect. Well, I get a call and say, it's Bo on the phone. The same way, man, shit, you bullshit. And he was in the pen. And he called me and we talked. His girl had us on a three-way and we talked for the first time. And we was actually talking about he loved how I was doing the Corleone thing and the whole kind of mob outfit with West Coast Mafia, Corleone found it, said that'll go good. And I was always a diehard SIBO fan. Actually, my block, I used to have my cousin Mama and them, we used to drink Old English with the orange juice in the cooler, you know what I mean? Push the button shit, you know what I mean? The house party, daytime, you know, and bang some Bolo way back then before I ever know I meet him. So, yeah, so we talked, and of course, you know, he had a little short time. I said, you know, I see you when you get home. We'll meet you eventually in the flesh. And at the time, I made a connect with him and did a co-op record called Rise Through the Ranks from Ronnie the Capo in 2005. So I started working on that record immediately. My first West Coast Mafia collabo record with Bo, and it was hard to get like a verse from him because of course he was locked up.
Right.
But But somebody in the archives, I don't know if that was Bosco or somebody, that West Coast lineage, say, you know, I got shit from Bo all the time, and gave me a verse with me, John Silver, 151, you know what I mean, from the West Coast Mafia gang, you know what I mean. Shouts out to Lit Psycho, you know, all us homies. So it's a song called I Know. Yeah, it's called I Know. You know what I mean? I know he know this dude's a pussy, if you ever heard the record. But, you know, it had like 8 bars or 12 bars. Bo must have left on the record and the rest of those guys. So I finished that record and put that on. That was the only feature we had on that record due to him being still locked away. But the day he come home, I had went out to Cali and met T-Po and a couple of guys that was connected to it, and we made the deal. Like I say, we made the record. But the day he come home, that day was the record was being mastered. You know what I mean? Or finalized, you know, as a whole, or printed or whatever. But I said, look, man, you know, welcome home, nigga. You know, the day you come home, nigga, you get to hear the record. So there's 18 joints on there. He liked the record. And eventually, well, I lived in Texas. I didn't know, about 7 minutes up the block, he had a sister that lived, had a daycare or something like that, you know what I mean? That he would come down and see her. Really before that, he called me right before Hurricane Katrina, true story. And I was on one side of Texas, get a phone call. He old type of guy. I tell him, man, call me ahead of time. Let me know you're coming down so I can be prepared. He gonna hit you when he there. Hey man, where you at? I'm on this side. Oh man, so it's a race for me to get him in this big ass, blue ass, cripped out bus. You know what I mean? It's just all blue, no flyers, no nothing on the bus, big ass you know what I mean? Trailways or some shit like that, but all dark blue. He come down, he was just getting ready to leave, you know what I mean? One of my homies in the town said, Bo out here, man, whoop, whoop, whoop. So we still have met each other, flesh. Like, hey man, look, check it out. Where you at? You know, I'm riding with my homie, rest in peace, the old man from the Corleone gang. He still was alive. He was from Texas, West Dallas, you know what I mean? So he knew his way around the town. And we trying to get the Bo out and got lost. He said, man, we sitting out in the middle of the road, you know, we on tour. They was finna go all the way to Miami, up to New York, and back to California. Why the hurricane was happening. So I want to say they even rode through Hurricane Katrina. But anyway, he said, man, we got a few minutes, bro. I mean, I can't wait that much longer. So I'm like, all right. So I'm racing to get to him. And by the time we coming off the interstate, I see the bus barely pulling up. So I pull up, click the light, and they stop. Him and this psycho jumped off the DVD, grabbed and embraced each other for the first time, and they've been on ever since. So he'll come to Texas and live on the street with his sister.
Okay.
And like a school bus in the morning, 8, 9 in the morning, he outside. I'm in the ride with him. We go through all that, yada, I mean, and hit the yo and lock up and started making records. So I love Bo in my life. Like I said, lyrically, Rakim is my favorite rapper, you know, and I got yet to meet the gods, you know what I mean? But in that same sense, in the physical form, it's a lot of rappers. Rest in peace to 3-2 picked me up in my hood, took me to H-Town with my cousin Tiny T, and you know what I mean, those guys. But Bo, in that time of need, when I was kind of down and out and back to the independence, he came down there. Way I said, nigga, I don't fuck with you because you know C-Bo, I fuck with you because you a nigga that came from Northern Cali, had skipped L.A., all the way to South and came, made sure I was all right, my nigga. So that's my big bro for life, C-Bo, West Coast Mafia, my nigga, wait.
That's what's up. You mentioned earlier your time on Strange Music. What was that like, and why was that so short-lived over there?
Oh, man. You know, when I went to Strange, Strange promised me everything that I went through in the past that I wouldn't go through no more, coming aboard. And it was the same kind of co-op situation. I didn't sign directly. It was still in the make on the strength to hear again Dave Weiner. And eventually I met Travis and Tech Nine and all that. I was a Tech fan and all that type of thing. But it was a different outfit than what people was used to seeing me coming from the No Limit, soldier, reality, gangster rap background versus the more technical style that, and Tech Number, the speedball, you know what I mean? So me blending, a lot of people from the South, they wasn't really with me going in that direction. But with it being another one of those between contractual tight times, that's the opportunity that came to me on the strength of my guy. So I was like, why not? Let's give it a try. It's an outlet. I'll make a record that blend in, you know what I mean, and try to really do something different. and bring that to the table. So for a while, that wasn't really kind of accepted by the fans. Then after a while, when people saw how it was and what it was, and they started to accept it. But the way the machine kind of ran before I could get all the way, it pulled me down and shadowed me with the next record, and I didn't get the just due that I thought I knew I deserved, and what I was told initially when I came over there. So, you know, it was bittersweet, you know what I mean? We kind of swept it under the rug, but, you know, it was cool and behind closed doors. Everything wasn't everything. It was beautiful when we met. When you see me and Tech on the YouTube, it wasn't no play. It's our first time seeing. I was doing an interview like we doing now, just if he walked up right now, that's how that happened, and we happened to catch it on film. So everything was beautiful, and I, you know, was dedicated to those guys. I rode for them for about 2.5 months. Rode with them on tour, man. Actually, they give me like a 2-week tour that started out. That was really supposed to only cover Mississippi, Louisiana, and you know, as big as Texas is, maybe a little Dallas, a little Houston. And it was over for me. But so happened, the marketing guy, shouts out to Cross-Eyed Joe, that's my brother from another mother, you know what I mean? And we went through all kind of, you know, pitter-patter and all kind of, you know, blending with each other on the road, but he was the guy they sent down to take me on a 2-week tour, and we got into some gangster shit and all kind of shit that made us kind of bond. You got to go through shit with people to see what people are going to do in the midst of it, so it made us a little closer as people. And he was like, oh, Trav, man, you know, he told me the way you related to him, he say, man, for what Tech is in Kansas City and other places, Bleed or Garden is South, man. Before the record was out, my record wasn't out, but when I took him through Mississippi and places where I'm rooted, he saw a whole nother dynamic. And he said, well, look, man, if you're not doing nothing for the rest of the tour, would you like to ride the way through the Midwest and the West Coast, St. Bernardino, on up to fucking Seattle, Washington, and across the country? Of course, let's roll. So, you know, I rode out there with him for about 2.5 months, man, and everything was set in stone. That after we finished that tour, I was supposedly gonna sign with Strange as an artist versus my company that I started the Time Trap Door Entertainment and it being a co-op situation. So I had all those promises. In the end, I found out that I was snatched off the tour as well as a few other guys the following tour that they did after that when I was made those promises that we was gonna go home for Thanksgiving and in January, hey man, you might even move out here to the state and let's get it on. That was told to me. And at the end of the day, you know, saying no names, but that was the thing, you know. So from that, you know, I'm a man of my word. My first record is my balls and my word. Nobody's perfect, but you know, you can't, you can't. But whatever the change was, I got caught in that shuffle here again. You know, in the underdog syndrome, man. So I just walked away from the table and left that where it was and continued to push Trap Door Entertainment.